Ah,
We're live. Who are you?
yay!
Who are you? Who are
John
wait, let
Lawson.
wait, let me give you the close up because you get all angry when I don't do that. All right, there you go.
John Lawson.
No cold one, bold one, no cold
I
rice.
think I'm popping that.
See, this is the beauty of being who I am because I don't have to change mine when it gets serious.
Yeah, I know.
I'm Brent Leary.
I might have to just be serious all the time.
There it is. All right, this is watching Amazon, but quite honestly, it's not going to be the usual watching Amazon as there is nothing usual going on right now in this whole world, particularly in the United States. So with that in mind, we're going to, talk. How did you say we were going to talk today?
Well, I think that it would be, irresponsible for us as two black guys to not actually talk through a little bit the issue from our perspective and still keep it about watching anime.
Ironically, it just never seems to amaze me how regardless of what the hot topic is of the day, we can always find a way, an illegitimate way to relate it back to something going on with Amazon, although it's not directly about Amazon, is particularly what this is about. I mean, let's face it. What is this, like the seventh or eighth, maybe ninth continuous day of protesting all over the country, and now it's spilled out all over the world. I mean, I was watching the news today, and they had a big protest in London, and I
Yep.
think there's stuff going on in Germany. So it's this.
Amsterdam, London, France. What was the other one I saw? I was like, wow. Germany. It's all over the world.
So what started out as well, what we saw, which I think it was a straight up, not only a murder, but it was like a slow motion, tortuous murder. Whenever you basically put your knee over the top of somebody's neck and you keep it there for almost 9 minutes. That's a slow, torturous murder.
Yeah.
And it played out on video.
And then the really crazy part that we've seen now is that when the paramedics, because I put quotes there because they didn't offer any sort of, try to revive
assistance,
right.
Help.
When the truck pulled up, that's when he pulled his knee. Not actually when the guy got out and told him to remove his knee. So that means he was already dead for several minutes.
They said that of the close to 9 minutes that he hadn't moved in about 2.5 of those 9 minutes.
Right.
So he was probably dead.
Yeah, and I mean, you just think about this is death by asphyxiation, right? So this is just as bad as being drowned and not being able to breathe. When you can't breathe, it wasn't about really putting the foot on the neck. It was the foot on the neck that made him not be able to breathe, And that's just a horrible. I think we've all thought about what it would be like to drown and not be able to breathe, or to be in a fire and be asphyxiated by the smoke and not be able to breathe. How painful that has to be, how extended that death has to be. It's just horrible.
And then think about being a family member, wife, girlfriend, son, daughter, and you got to watch that video. You've got to watch them do what they did to him.
Over and over and over.
And it doesn't, you can't get that image out of your mind. I mean, there's just no way.
Ever.
Nor
can I disassociate myself personally from it. Because not only do I see Mr. Floyd getting done, I actually put myself in that same situation unconsciously, which is a very weird, unique thing about human beings. That's why we can sit in a movie theater and watch a play, play out on the screen and cry, right? Because you feel the emotion. I can actually visualize and feel exactly like it's me because of who I am and my closeness to, that scenario and situation. It's weird. It's very weird.
I think it's very real. And I mean, I have a couple of nephews. I know you have one, or at least one, more than that, probably. And, my sister, I was talking to my sister the other week. Or actually, I guess that was earlier this week. And my nephews are, they're young men. So they're not, kids, but they're young men. And she told me that even to this day, when they leave the house or they go off to work or whatever, she has this anxiety moment about thinking they may not come home because of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that's that's something that these kinds of mothers and Black men and women, I guess, be living it for a long time. And now just to have the kind of the video be able to illustrate stuff that we know has been going on forever. And let's face it, there's some people who didn't believe it happened. But yeah, well, it's kind of hard to say it doesn't happen now. If you're saying it doesn't happen now, that just means there's nothing that will ever change your mind.
Right. But I mean, I think there's an acknowledgement that it does happen because they've seen it. However, they don't have a good perspective of the understanding that it happens first way more than it's ever videotaped. But I mean, for me personally, I'll ask you the question because I just asked people on my timeline that as a Black person, have you ever had a run-in with the police that was somewhat, I don't want to say undeserved, but you felt that it was simply because you were a Black man and you really didn't do anything? Have you ever had?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for me, it wasn't even all that long ago. This is, before my parents moved back. So I was doing a lot of driving them to doctor's appointments and picking up, prescriptions and things like that. So I would drive my dad's car and,
Cadillac.
Yeah, it's Cadillac. Yeah, it's Cadillac. So I was driving it and I mean, I literally had just pulled out of the driveway and, as I was driving by, I saw this cop car. He was just parked, So as I was going this way, he was parked, like that. And I was definitely not speeding. And matter of fact, I pulled up to the intersection and then made a left-hand turn. And then right as I made the turn, I hear the, like a siren, and I see some lights in my rear view. I'm like, is this for me? I'm literally saying, is this for me? And so I pull over and, I just wait. And the officer came. I rolled the window down and I said, he said, yes, sir. I was just wanted to see who was driving because this car is registered to a person whose driver's license had expired. I was like, so I wasn't doing anything wrong. You just ran my plates.
Yes.
And then because you ran my plates, you found out that the person who the car is registered to had his license had expired. And so you didn't have a justification for running my plates because I wasn't speeding. I didn't go through a stoplight. I didn't run a stop sign. You just ran my plates.
And let's be clear, because I don't want people to say, well, it was a person. You were driving a deceased person's car.
My dad wasn't even dead at that point.
Really?
We just stopped him from driving because he couldn't drive any longer.
Okay, so boom.
But the car is registered in his name still. We kept up the registration because he was alive. He just wasn't driving any longer. But the whole point was they just ran the plates. They didn't have a reason to run my plates.
Yeah.
They just ran it.
justify what they wanted to do anyway.
Right. And then so I showed him my license, and I said, the car is in my dad's name, but yeah, I am his son. And he just looked at me, and he looked kind of sheepish. He took my license, did whatever he did in his car, and then brought it back. Thank you, sir. That was all. That was it.
Yeah.
So, and once again, this is in the middle of it. It's like 11, 12, noon, something that time frame. Wasn't at night. Wasn't speeding.
No,
Literally just came out of the driveway.
The thing is, and pretty much every male in my family, whether it's my brother, my father, my nephew, can tell, my cousin, all of these black men in my family has at least one story. At least. Most of us have multiple, right? I've been driving sports cars and expensive sports cars all my life. You know, I remember the first car I had was your old car in your garage, was one of those 300ZXs. And I've been stopped many a times I'm such a law-abiding citizen. I know the speech of the 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You know, I know exactly how to defuse a situation, but I've been over and over stopped just for driving while black. And any time, any of those situations with the wrong person, I just happen to be lucky enough not to run into somebody that really was out to kill a man. You know, you just never know. And it's, you have to understand, people, you know, that there is there's this little thing that we all experience in our lives more than one occasion, most of us, that really is frustrating, aggravating, and we don't get hurt. We don't get hurt. So anyway.
I just, and there's also the thing, and we're hearing more and more about it, you know, the talk that black parents particularly, you know, have had to have with their black male children, but now even more black female children at this point. But we were definitely taught, you know, we were taught how to survive being stopped by the cops. That's the truth. It was a survival conversation.
Yeah, we're never taught about the cops are here to protect and serve you. We're always taught that the cops will kill you if you don't act. I mean, and that's literally the conversation you have to make children. Remember, we're talking to children. So you have to put it in a 5th grade at best level, you know, so that they can really understand the severity of dealing with the police.
Yeah. So you're taught, you know, survival skills so that you can survive being stopped. I mean, you know, I go into extreme politeness mode, although I'm pretty polite anyway, but
right.
I want to be sure that I'm optimizing my chances of survival. Now, all that could still get you killed. There's no 100% cure for getting through these things, but you try to be polite. You try to make sure you don't do any, you know, quick moves of any sort. You try to make sure your hands are shown, you know, at all times. You don't be, you know, lunging for anything. You move very slowly when they ask you to do something. I mean, I remember this stuff from when I was a teenager, and you know, talk to, you know, my nephews about this. You know, and of course they have their own run-ins too. I mean, so it's all about trying to get through it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and just to be very clear, you know, this is not a new thing. It's been going on for 400 years. 400 years. It's not new.
Definitely not new. And this time around, it was egregious, and it was caught on video. And I think that's probably and the guy never really put up a fight. I mean, he wasn't doing anything disruptive to them. What did he get caught with a counterfeit $20 bill or something like that?
I don't really care.
It wasn't no, I'm just saying it wasn't anything violent. It wasn't anything big.
Even if it were, it is not acceptable behavior.
It's not acceptable, but in this case,
No,
there is no way that you could even try to make it out to be more than what it was.
Yeah, but
And
I'm just
there
saying,
are people that are doing that.
you have a man on the ground that cannot breathe. He's told you he cannot breathe, and you stay on his neck when he's handcuffed and on the ground and being submissive. There is absolutely no excuse. I don't care what he did before that. Okay, Dylan Klebold. Not only
the cop that had him on his, had his neck on his, his knee on his neck. There were two other guys holding him down, and then another one looking at the whole thing.
Yes. So it was a concerted effort. But here's the thing: Dylan Klebold that's not him. That's the guy that killed the kids. The one
that's Columbine. You're talking about the guy from South Carolina, the church.
What's his name? Say his name.
It's Dylan something, I think.
It is something. But anyway, he killed those people in church. They had him just sitting on the curb and even brought him some water so he could be comfortable before they even put him in the car. And he didn't kill all these people in church. There's a difference, people. You have to admit there is a difference.
Well, and then the ultimate difference was they brought him in. He killed
he lived.
People. They brought him in. And they had to go find him.
You know what I mean? So anyway,
that's a tough week. Tough more than week, but I think we're seeing some signs that we're seeing a lot of signs that this is different.
I hope this is a watershed moment. But I also have been here before.
We definitely been here before.
I've been in post-riot mode from America before. So excuse me if I don't get too giddy.
No, there's nothing to get giddy about. Quite honestly, we're still at the Eric Garner moment because, we do have an arrest. There's no convictions, and it's only one arrest.
And it's only one arrest?
Freddie Gray, they had 6 people on trial. And nobody went to jail. So there's no point for being giddy or anything. But we'll see how things progress. I think there's the power of the video. It's amazing. And I was thinking about this today. We saw on the weekend, SpaceX launch into getting into the International Space Station, like a commercial launch between SpaceX and NASA. And the imagery was really powerful. It was really amazing to see that. We hadn't seen it in a while, but it was amazing to see that. And as amazing as it was to see that, nobody's talking about that right now, because the most amazing imagery was to see one man literally, slowly, deliberately kill another man on video. So regardless of how great the exploration video was, it doesn't compare to what we saw on Monday.
Am I frozen?
I hadn't even noticed, but yeah, you are frozen.
Yeah.
You are the cold one. You are the frozen one.
I am the frozen one. Let's try this. I'm going to change my camera. Put it to the FaceTime camera and see if that works.
I'm going to start taking up a collection to get the Coda Rice a new computer, folks.
I did my thing.
It's time. You cleaned it. You did as much as you could.
Hey, you know what? I just figured out how to clear it, though.
Well, that's good, but it still is, beeping and blurping and stopping and churning and all that stuff. It's time for you to go and get a new computer. Take some of the millions you have and buy you a nice machine.
I can't do it right now. I'm in PPP mode. I don't want to get in trouble. Wait till PPP clears.
I'll see. I'm not down with PPP. So
Yeah. I got PPP, buddy. I got
all right. So
employees.
let's do this because there are, like I said, we had some things. I'm going to pop up the one that you wanted to talk about first, and
All right,
turn it
you
over.
just Pierre's comment.
Yes. I gotta post this.
That's funny.
Colder ice, only Frozen 3.
Frozen 3 in theaters only. Should have said come into your living room.
That's too scary.
Oh shit.
Okay, so what do we got here?
All right, man. So here, since we're on Amazon, and this is watching Amazon, Amazon actually tweeted a statement about the inequality and brutal treatment of Black people in support of George Floyd and the protesters. It says, quote, the inequitable and brutal treatment of Black people in our country must stop. Together we stand in solidarity with the Black community, our employees, customers, and partners in the fight against systemic racism and injustice. That was nice.
So this is part of Blackout Tuesday, and there was a number of companies. Ben and Jerry's put out a really nice statement. I posted that on my personal Facebook page. Yep. Salesforce did a big statement around that as well.
And if it had been 2 weeks in advance, Hallmark would have made a card. And what I mean by that is that it's equitably sound to do that on Blackout Tuesday. What do you do on Wednesday? That's my question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to follow up to this one, but you had another one you wanted to talk about. So let me.
Well, I just wanted to balance that with a good another article that says, Amazon standing in solidarity against police racism while selling racist technology to the police.
Hold on, let me put that up because that's that talks about it. That talks about the saying and doing. There's got to be equality, equity in what you say as opposed to what you do, and vice versa. The statements are great and they're needed, but then, as you said, going beyond the statements, what's happening? This is not a good one. This is definitely not a good one. Yeah. Let me go to the one that I had posted as well, because it kind of, goes in that same theme of the statements are good and necessary and needed. And this one says, okay, so it's not just Amazon. We talked about there's a number of corporate entities that are saying the right things and on social, doing some of the right things on social, which is great. But then I want to scroll down to make sure I get the part where I was really interested. So yeah, they're doing the statements are good, and I think they need to be visible and hard and all that. But then this article talks about kind of going beyond the statements, what some of the tech companies that had, or companies in general, that were making these statements, that were integrating themselves into what's going on currently today, going beyond the statements. They have these report cards in terms of what companies are donating their money to, and who they're donating their money to, and what their kind of their records are. And so the NAACP apparently has a report card of the different lobbyists and societies and politicians, I guess, on how their records on certain things that I guess the NAACP says is important to the Black community. So this article is really interesting because it says, and I'm just going to focus on Amazon, and it does talk about all the others. But Amazon donated almost $400,000. The politicians rated F by the NAACP. Now, can you imagine the National Rifle Association letting anybody that has an F record with them donate get away with doing other things that are not in their interest, that they deem as being F worthy of an F, they would make such a stink that it would not happen for very long, or you would hear a retraction or something. But here, and like I said, I'm only reason I'm putting it out. The only reason I'm putting this out is because this is watching Amazon, and somebody took the time to put this together. You give $400,000 to politicians that have an F rating with the NAACP. That is not good, and that almost makes you feel like the words that you spoke over here kind of ring hollow when you see the money that you're putting into F-rated politicians over there. That's tough.
Follow the money. You always follow the money, bro.
And I think, I'm not bring this up. I think that maybe there's a disconnect. Maybe they don't know, what the criteria or how.
Who doesn't know?
Well, I quite honestly don't know specifically what the NAACP ranking, how it works. So I can't tell you much about it. All that I saw an F and I saw $400,000, and that enough made me want to see what else is going on here. So okay. I think there's an opportunity for Amazon, amongst other companies, to take this particular moment in time and to get on the good foot in terms of what do our donations mean in terms of what's going on currently, and how can we make sure that the words we say over here are backed up and aligned with whatever money we give, whatever activities we're a part of. It has to be words and deeds and donations completely aligned here.
I'm not all that hopeful. Again, it's just a lot of tap dancing right now. It's entertaining though.
I think there is a lot of tap dancing going on, but I'm saying some of it I think is tap dancing that they know that they have to do and they know how to get it right, and some of it is just tap dancing to try to keep you from really seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. There's a lot of tap dancing. I think some people are tap dancing because they want to dance the right way, and some are just trying to get through the moment so that when the light starts to fade on this, they can go back to doing whatever they were doing when the darkness is inside here.
Then the only thing that will bring that to fruition is time. Can't make any determination on it right now. Can't tell you where they're going to go. I can only make a determination by the fruit that it produces. So
I agree. I think this is a moment in time for those who do have the right intentions in mind. Let's say you had the right intentions. You just didn't know what was going on. You didn't know how to get started. Well, if you have the right intentions, it's okay to say that. And it's okay to start right now and get on the good foot, as James Brown would say. And I think there would be a lot of people that would be in your corner saying, hey, we did some things that were messed up. Maybe we didn't know all of the things were messed up, but we did some things that were messed up. And from this point on, we don't want to do those messed up things anymore. So judge us by how we act now that everything is out in the open. We want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. And we want to have our words match our deeds and our money from here on out. I'm good with that if they do it.
Okay. I'm not that good with that, but okay.
Because you can't look, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, well, I want to start with accountability. All right. I want to take accountability for adding to the situation. And I'm not necessarily on let's start from ground zero and move forward. I'm really not. I really think you need to say, I was part of the problem. All right. So it's
I
not
think
just
that's part of starting from ground zero for me. Is
yeah,
I said we made mistakes. We don't want to make mistakes going forward. We want to be on the right path. We want our deeds and our words to match. But I think, yeah, that is part of it. You got to say, look, hey, we might not have done this stuff, but we didn't do anything to stop this stuff either. And from here on, we want to be a part of that. And then their deeds have to, like you said, their deeds have to align with the words. Even the apology is hollow if that what happens after the apology is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pierre says, I may also be about what measures that companies have to be meaningful in their solidarity statements. Yeah. I mean, a statement has to have substance in it. Yeah, you know, the what's the thing that people say that we just get tired of hearing? Our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that anymore. That's not enough.
I mean, you know, and who, you know, anyway, I don't want to get too deep into this, but you know, who's doing the oversight? You know, who's going to do that?
That's something that
I know there are companies right now that are making pledges. No, we pledge to donate, blah, 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 but who's overseeing that to make sure that that actually gets done, that it's actually directed in areas that are going to really help? You know?
Well, if everything is open and transparent, then basically all of us will be watchdogs. And if it's not open and transparent, then it ain't happening. It don't count.
So this is where we are.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a moment in time. It had to be more than what is it? To be more than a moment, it has to turn into a movement. Isn't that kind of the way it's said? And moments are one thing. Movements are completely different because movements take time and effort and discipline. And that's why moments usually don't turn into movements, particularly in stuff like this. I'm hopeful that maybe we'll get a little different. I'll take even a little different outcome over nothing changes.
I'm hoping to see this as like Me Too Part 2, where it's a watershed moment and it's not just going to go back to business as usual. At least, if nothing else, I think, and I was talking to a female and she wasn't very happy with the outcomes of Me Too, which I'm like, I'm a male, I don't have a vote on that. But if nothing else, it made me more aware, right? And it got me.
Look what Meredith just said.
Second-degree officers will be charged was news update I just got. That's what's going to have an impact on the riots. That'll absolutely have an impact on the riots.
I would say the protests, because there are some bad actors. There are some folks.
I'm not going to say the protest. I think the protest should go on way beyond this.
Right.
I think the rioting, however, needs to stop. But
the
riots
are bad actors.
Let me finish what I'm going to say here.
All
right. Because the rioting are an outcome of injustice. So if justice is served, I believe that will have an impact on the rioting. The protests need to continue because we saw what happened in Simi Valley. First, they got the case, then they charged the officers, then they moved it to someplace else, and then all the officers got off. So I'm not really ready to remove the pressure by protests. But I'm
not saying that at all.
The keg that turns into a riot happened because of third-degree murder, and 75% of the people involved were sitting at home chilling, eating chicken.
So the protests, I think, need to go on. What I was talking about, the riots, I'm talking about there was folks that were sent in strategically to try to ferment a riot. Somebody who's meant to try to get it so wound up that they want, as I'll put it in quotes, a race war. So there is that element out there that is specifically, they don't care at all about what happened with Mr. Floyd and all the things that people are really protesting about. There are elements out there who are just trying to set something off because they think it'll lead to something like the extermination of certain kinds of people. That's what I'm talking about. Should go that this kind of thing will help to lessen the environment for that stuff to happen. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Those will cease. I believe the opportunity for them will cease.
That's what I meant. Exactly. That's what I mean. So I'm Meredith. Let me just send a shout out to Meredith.
Shout out
to Meredith because I've been killing you the last couple of weeks, man.
Yes. You can see the old episodes when you weren't here. He was still talking about you.
So I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Meredith for giving us the update because I think that's an important update. I'm glad to see it.
I just got the notice on CNN.
Good. I'm really glad to see it got up, and I'm glad this. I don't know what the other guys got charged with, but at least they got charged. And so that's just another step. It's not the end result because once again, Freddie Gray, there were arrests. Right. Freddie Gray, there were arrests and no convictions.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened with Trayvon Martin. So we'll see. Eric Garner. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm hopeful. This one seems it feels different, but hey, we gotta keep it on an even keel until justice is fully done on this one. All right, so you stop. You got to get a new machine, man.
Again,
Meredith, tell him to get a new computer.
Dude, I don't think it's my machine is very fast, but you know, I don't know what goes on. I'm not really certain yet, but it might be something. I think I might know what happened.
So Meredith said the statement was it's more to come regarding the they're going to get charged. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure there's. Oh, look. And I hear you because if I don't listen live, I listen to replay. Oh, so she's listening. So I apologize now.
She knows what I mean.
I apologize for ripping you.
You're in
trouble. Anyway, all right. So this has been a different kind of watching Amazon, and maybe this is one we just have to do. Get through it a little bit, but I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't call you out.
Call me out for what?
Whatever I want to.
I'll call you out, Meredith. I'm serious here. Let me look at Meredith. Can you talk to him about getting a new computer? I'm tired of seeing this freezing stuff.
What, bro?
Get him a computer.
Just send me the check, bro. The thing is, if you haven't paid me for the episodes, so as soon as my back check comes,
yeah, as soon as I get a check, because amongst, I guess you don't know.
We can put together a GoFundMe for my computer. There you go.
I'm glad that we can have a good laugh at the end of this because we all need a good laugh. So.
It really is. It's like, God, man, it's annoying. It's this darn Chrome. I wish I could get rid of Chrome, and I can't.
Your laptop was what built in the 20th century. I mean, it's time to step it up, Mr. Moneybag, Mr. Speaking all over the world.
Yeah, dude, that stopped immediately. COVID-19,
Mr. E-commerce. Selling all sorts of flags and banners and stuff. Buy you a nice.
We'll touch on that though, but we'll touch on that next week.
We will, and hopefully, we'll be seeing him on a different computer, folks.
Hopefully,
probably not.
Probably not.
All right. Well, anyway, this has been. I've enjoyed this. I'm glad that. Oh, look! Wow, she's listening on her phone. I can't.
That's funny.
That is funny. All right,
Uh,
Meredith, maybe you and him could go in, and get a group, buy it in bulk or something.
Oh my God! Both of
Get a
us get new
discount.
tech. We can both get new tech for old people.
Yeah, I think AARP has a special right now. So
Right.
all right. Well,
Always,
hey, let's end this one on a funny note, and then we'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll be back closer to normal than we are right now. We'll see. We'll see.
we'll see.
All right. See. Ya.